Thanks, O&M. Thank you for having me today. Today we're going to talk about software and why you should even care about it. And the reason is what we're going to call leverage. The software business has incredible leverage in it if you can just get yourself positioned the right way in it. Now, for you to understand where I'm coming from with this, I'm unfortunately going to have to give you a little bit of history. A lot of you have been using your computers for a lot of years, so you may remember the olden days when you went to a store and you bought a box, and the box had floppy disks and a manual, and you put the disks in your computer and you hoped it got installed properly, and if it didn't, then you had to read the manual or try to call up some little company and find out what had happened. But the idea was, if you would buy their software and start to use it, it would save you lots of time and trouble, and if they sold a lot of copies, they'd make a lot of money. And the reason was what I'll call stage one leverage, which was they only had to write that program and get it to work one time. After that, they just made lots and lots of copies on the floppy disks. They printed the manual and they shipped it off to you. Now, if they were really smart and lucky and a commercial sort of an operation selling to corporations and government agencies, they would also have something called maintenance. The idea there was that as they made changes to the program, you would get them for free if you paid them a monthly maintenance charge. And in fact, often you would get the whole new release for free if you'd been paying monthly maintenance. Monthly maintenance, it turned out, was a wonderful thing. If you had a lot of users and you were getting that monthly maintenance charge, it more than covered any charges of maintaining the software, and indeed probably covered the costs of building the new software, plus giving you a nice profit. So a lot of companies got into the software business and tried to stay there. Then we started to get digitized. And why was that important? Because all of a sudden, you didn't have to print the manual anymore. You didn't have to maintain it. You could now download the software and with it the manual, brief stop along the way for a DVD that came inside of an empty big box. But pretty soon now, again, you had the software, you bought it, and you were paying the monthly maintenance, and people were using more and more software, hundreds and hundreds, thousands and thousands of seats. Just to be clear on this, we're not just talking about, various kinds of software that you've heard of that you use every day. We're also talking about the databases that lie underneath it and the operating systems. Some of you out there may be sitting on Windows 10 and remember what it took to get there, or using your Mac, which gets a periodic update. But all in all, that's all software. It's making all your systems work, and it's being used now by millions of users. And if you as a software company can get yourself into the position of being one of those millions of users and little monthly maintenance, it gets to be even better and better. Now we come to the world, which you're going to hear about in a little bit, where we have things in the cloud, or SaaS, which stands for Software as a Service. That's where you don't know, you don't care how it works. You turn on your computer, you go to your browser. It might or might not quickly download a little quick software like some of the investment programs do. And then you're working in the cloud. You're getting your software as a service. Best of all, you're probably just subscribing to it. It hits your credit card every month. You don't know, you don't care. It works. It gives you what you want, which is the best of all worlds for you. And I'm happy to say the best of all worlds for the software company. Because now, as they get further into the SaaS model, they can have a monthly fee, a subscription. What does that do for them? Well, not only does it get them a subscription and a monthly fee, but gone are the days that your box costs $350. Now you might be paying $30 a month. That's $360 a year. Except you're going to use this software for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So you're not paying just $350. You're paying 4 or 5 times that amount for what is effectively the same software with the occasional updates. All coming in electronically and painlessly. You're paying on your credit card. Works out very well for you and very well for the software company. The catch for the software company is they have to write software that you want, that you need. Now, for some of you who are saying, well, gee, all this SaaS cloud stuff sounds a little off-putting. Remember, you're already using it. What do you think your email is? What do you think going to Google is? The weather app on your phone. All this stuff is working the same kind of way. Now, for various economic reasons, you may not think you're paying for it on a monthly basis, but somewhere, somehow, somebody's paying for it some way, probably with some ads. Have you noticed those ads that show up in your email the minute you start looking for something? out on one of the online stores like an Amazon or something, all getting paid for somehow. It's a huge business. But the secret for the software company is to create some software that you need. Now, I don't want to give away any of the interesting information you're going to see in the next presentation. But one of the things that you want to have is software that a specific group of people needs to use. Let's say accounting software or something like that, that then continues to make their lives easier. And then, as various new things happen, let's say you started out with just a simple checkbook program, and then you turned it into a general ledger kind of a system. Then you added on accounts receivable, an accounts payable module, inventory management, all sorts of things like that. Each of those little goodies gets added onto the software, possibly at a price, possibly not. Why? Because the more modules you're using, the more likely it is you're going to stay with that software, because it gets harder and harder for you to let go of the software, to change out the software until some major event occurs, like you change hardware systems. By the way, I left out of the history the good old days where if you got new versions of software, often you had to get a whole new computer. And I'm mentioning that now because when we're starting to talk about big corporations and government agencies using software on various numbers of seats, in the new world, you can charge by those seats. So we can add more and more seats to your subscription if you're the corporation or the agency. And that's fine. It gets approved by the controller. It gets paid every month. Everybody's happy. But gone now are the days of the fact that you hit this magic moment of, for the sake of argument, the 100th seat. And surprise, you have to buy a whole new server and network system to manage your slightly bigger system. This is all now just gone out over the cloud. It's being handled somewhere in space in what is referred to as the cloud. In reality, it's probably Amazon's AWS or Microsoft's Azure systems, or IBM has one. There's a number of companies providing software on the cloud. You don't care. You don't need to know. The important thing for you is to find good software companies who are going to have software that people need and want and basically can't let go of once they have it. Some of the companies you're going to see shortly, especially the next one, have very interesting software that's used by lots and lots of users, more and more users every day, but they're adding in things that people in today's world absolutely have to have. I can't help myself. I just have to add this in. The guys you're going to see next have a coronavirus tracker, something every agency has to have. Everybody's talking about this. Let's keep track of the coronavirus. But the catch is, there aren't a lot of these programs lying around. And if you're some government agency that has to keep track of this in a small city somewhere, you're not going to write this yourself. You don't even know how. But your software provider shows up and says, here's another bolt-on, and click, there you got it, and now you can do your job and keep track of the coronavirus and those people who've been infected with it. This is very important. This is my own opinion, not that of O&M or anyone else's, but I'm afraid the coronavirus is with us for a while. It's going to come and go, and therefore paying attention to these sorts of things and the issues it raises on the side are going to be very important. And software is one of the few ways we can protect ourselves and go on ahead. I think you're going to enjoy the next presentation very much. And thank you, O&M, for having me.